actually our bonus episode because we originally were just gonna stop at 10, and it's been so much fun. So we definitely want to showcase this amazing program in today's episode. And so this is kind of our bonus episode. But yeah, what do you think, Nate? Should we get started?
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, welcome those of you who are joining us today. This is our final episode of Coastal Insights, and it has been such a whirlwind. It's been pretty much 3 months since we started this webinar series, and each week we've been putting out episodes, and I've been learning so much along the way. But today, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this episode. We have double whammy hosts, actually quadruple, I don't even know how to say it. We have lots of hosts today, but Nate and I will be hosting. So for those of you who haven't met us, my name is Maureen. I'm one of the educators at Raincoast, and I'm casting to you live today from the traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakw First Nations here in very northern tip of Vancouver Island. And my beautiful co-host, allow you to introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Nate, or Nathaniel Glickman, and I'm broadcasting today from our research vessel, which is moored in Nanaimo Harbor in the traditional unceded territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. And I'm an educator, so I work with Mo as an educator, but I also have a big role in this where I'm seated right here. So this is our research vessel. So we're going to be learning a little bit more about that today. So if you hear anything strange, I am on a sailboat. So that may explain some of the strangeness. The rest of it's just me.
Mm-hmm. And it's the perfect setting.
Happy to be here.
Perfect setting for what we're going to talk about today. So we've kind of come full circle now with these programs. So the Coastal Insight series actually started because of the pandemic and the big halt to our regular programming of our educational boat-based and experiential programming. So that is with our Salish Sea Emerging Stewards program. And so today's episode is dedicated to sharing with you a little bit more about this inspiring and transformative program that has been really such a great journey for youth, but also for all us staff who have been growing and evolving with this program each year. And so today we have 3 of our junior leaders who you might have encountered in some of our previous episodes, and they'll be sharing more about these experiences and their perspectives as well. So I'll allow you guys to just give a quick introduction to yourselves. Maybe we can start with Miriam, then go for it.
Like as the driver?
Hi everyone, my name is Miriam, and I am broadcasting from the traditional territory of the Shemanis, Halal, Penelka, and my accent. And I'm not grade 12 anymore, I'm a 2020 graduate, actually, of Shemanis, and I'll pass it on to Kloey.
Okay, hi, I'm Kloey. I'm broadcasting from the traditional territory of the Kwet'sin people. I'm also a 2020 graduate. It's great to be done with high school and on to my future. Pass it off to Ryder.
Hi everyone, my name is Ryder Wise. I'm also an alumni graduate of the 2018-2019 Emerging Stewards program. I don't know the traditional lands I'm broadcasting from today, but I am broadcasting from Home Depot today.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, Ryder is actually at work, so he's dedicated this next hour for us. So thank you very much for being able to join even while you're working. So yeah, we're really excited to share with you this amazing program that we've been a part of. And for those of you who may not be from here or haven't heard of the Salish Sea, I'm just gonna share my screen here. Oops, there we go. Okay. All right. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. So we're on episode 11. And so here's a map of the Salish Sea. And so it's the seas and the waters in and around the mainland and Vancouver Island. So it encompasses the Strait of Georgia, Juan de Fuca Strait, all the way down to the States and Puget Sound, Washington. And so that highlighted area is all the Salish Sea. And so this program is focused on highlighting the Salish Sea and the different wildlife, different conservation and habitats within them. And so one of our components of our program is focused on traveling throughout the Gulf Islands, which is in the southern part of Vancouver Island and the islands in and around that area. And so that's a really special area that has tons of great things that we're able to point out and teach with the youth and immerse in. And so I'm going to pass it off to Nate to share a little bit more about some of this program.
All right. So what we're looking at here is a group of around 10 students, 1 teacher, and 3 crew. And so this is what our Emerging Stewards program looks like. These students are seated on our research vessel, which I'm seated in right now. And as you can tell, they're pretty stoked. Hands in the air, looking all excited. We didn't force them to do that. They actually did it voluntarily. So this is a program that really works to engage students and inspire them to get involved in conservation and stewardship in this region. So really bringing young people out onto the lands, connecting them through science, through Indigenous knowledge, through experiential learning, and through a lot of fun. And so really it comes down to that this program is really all about, I like to say my philosophy on teaching youth science is kind of tricking them into it, tricking them into having a whole lot of fun. And by the end of the trip, 3-4 days are in, and they've learned more than they would have learned in a month of biology class or geography. And so these courses or these trips take place in the Gulf Islands. And so for me, it's quite cathartic because I'm actually leaving from a port that's around 1 kilometer from where I grew up. So as I'm going through these trips with these students, I get to kind of relive these experiences of my youth and get to share the things that the land and water and many other mentors have shared with me. So it's about bringing students into this world, mentoring them, and really inspiring them to take those next steps. But why is it special? Why is it unique?
Yeah, so there's several different things that make this particular program stand out from other programs. And so teachers out there and students, there's 2 words that I just want to share with you, and I don't know if you want to write this down, of a successful program, what it takes, but bam, for our program, we have Nate and Maureen. And so that's pretty much what Nate looks like at the end of our boat-based programs. And that's me being super sun safe. But you have these 2 secret ingredients and guaranteed you'll have a successful program. But seriously, besides the amazing staff, we have some actually really great components of this program that make it stand out from the rest. So one thing we really value in incorporating into our programs is Indigenous knowledge and different ways of knowing and being. And so a lot of our programming, we incorporate different knowledge holders and elders into helping the youth understand the world around them from a different lens and using different perspectives. And so we work with lots of different community partners and First Nations in the different traditional territories that we travel throughout. Another really amazing part of this program is how experiential it is. And so as you can see from this image right here, this is a picture of the youth on the sailboat while we have some amazing dolls, porpoises, bow riding next to us. And so you don't get that type of experience every day. And these porpoises, they actually stayed with us for a good 10 minutes or so, I would say. And there were at least 5 that were coming in really close to the boat. So it was some of the most amazing viewing that we were able to see with this wildlife encounter. And so it's a very immersive experience. And the last thing that makes it really different from other programs is multiple engagements. We invest the time in really introducing these ideas, but not only introducing it, we reinforce it and see these students throughout the year. And so, for example, within 1 year, we will engage students in preliminary learning sessions, let's say in September. We'll do boat-based learning in October, and that's, again, through multiple days. So it might be 4 days on the Achiever. We've done follow-up of our boat base with a nature session, and this one's actually a painting session with a wildlife artist who taught some of these youth how to paint the wildlife that they were encountering. And then we've partnered with local knowledge holders and communities. So this was a cultural day that we spent with Joe Ackerman, who was also one of our guests in a previous episode. And we spent the day learning about the traditional practices and the different ways of knowing and being from the Cowichan elders. And lastly, we held an event in June as a celebration event to bring all the youth back together and be able to have a platform for them to actually share their voices as well. And so this gives us a great opportunity to engage youth throughout the year. And if the youth really enjoy it, they can have an opportunity to be with us again for another year through our Junior Leaders Program, which you'll hear more about later on in the episode. And so we're just going to tease out some of these parts a little bit. So to share more about some of the different components, I'm going to pass it off to Kloey, who's going to share more about our preliminary learning session.
Okay, hi. So on this day, we were able to go to the University of Victoria, where we got to learn on campus, and I think that was quite important. And it was really cool too, to get to learn from the different professors and people at the university in the university setting. On this slide, there is an example of, we did a demo of the non-invasive bear research. This is the string, and that clip actually represents the barbed wire that they use in this demonstration. And actually it helps find out a bunch of different information on the bears. They can tell if it's the bear's male or female, what their diet is around the year, the amount of stress that the bear goes through, and it is very helpful in the research. On the next slide, we have one of the students collecting the bear hair, but it's not actual bear hair. It's from one of the leader's dogs, actually. Very cute dog. But the student is collecting the bear hair and putting it into a little envelope, which, if it was in the field, that would be sent out to the lab and picked through to find a guard hair or one of the longest hairs. On the next slide, there is, we're learning about the camera. They have a special camera that they put up at each site, and it's activated by, it has like a motion sensor on it, so it will start recording once if like something goes by or a bear goes into the trap. On the next slide, we learned about the clam gardens and the different uses of the intertidal zone for food. In this demonstration, the students were asked to build a little rock wall to kind of replicate the clam gardens, and they poured sand on top to see if the sand would stay in. And on the next slide, we learned a bit about ethnobotany and the different uses of the native plants that we have here. One of the activities, or the main activity that we got to do, was we built cordage out of stinging nettle stalks, and that was a really cool experience. And it is very strong. It makes a very strong rope at the end. And on the next slide was how one of the groups wrapped up their sessions. It is we got one of our elders to come in, one of the local elders in Victoria to come in and tell stories. And this, throughout this program, we got many different people to come through, many different local knowledge holders to come and share their teachings and what they have to offer. And next, we are going to pass it off to Nate and Ryder to talk about the boat-based learning.
Oh, Nate, I think you're muted.
I am no longer muted. So yes, so this is Achiever. This is actually where, so this is the boat that I'm sitting on right now. So Achiever is a 66-foot steel sailboat that is approved by Transport Canada as a research vessel. So the boat does a lot of survey work, looking at sort of numbers and distribution of different marine mammals and marine birds along the coast. We use it for all kinds of different stuff, but more recently, we've been using Achiever as this floating classroom, and it really makes for really a perfect place to be able to group together a very intimate and cohesive group for 4 days. Any longer with teenagers might be a little bit too much, but it really provides this amazing sort of melting pot of ideas and sort of transformations that happen by essentially trapping teenagers on a sailboat and send them into a beautiful location. So Ryder's going to tell us just a little bit more about what this experience was like on the boat, and really I think it should be looked at as this boat experience is this the prize that these students, and this is where the magic really happens. But by setting the expectations and introducing all of these concepts beforehand, we're able to really build this experience. So by the time they show up on the boat, they already know a lot about what we're going to be doing and of the different species that are out there. So without further ado, Mr. Ryder Wise.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Nate. Yeah, my name is Ryder Wise, and I'm now a junior leader with Raincoast, and I'm here to tell you about our boat-based learning here on Achiever. Maureen, am I in control of the screen? I just can't seem to switch the slide there.
Yeah, you should have control. Does it work?
Alrighty, well, slides aren't switching there. I'll just get on with it.
Okay.
The Emerging Stewards program, boat-based learning component, where selected students have the opportunity, unlike any in the world, to go on the Achiever, is an opportunity that really inspires and motivates students to become conscientious stewards of the land, these ancient lands that we live on today. They immerse, entice, and inspire our learning with hands-on learning, where Maureen and Nate actually collect and gather all this knowledge, put together into a lesson plan for all of us kids to learn and study on the boat. Sorry, Mo, I'm just trying to switch the screen here. There it goes.
Okay.
So with this immersive learning, Mo and Nate would conduct lessons on things like the salmon life cycle, seabirds, salinity and oxygenation levels of the water, all while physically transporting students and the crew to very historical cultural sites on these Gulf Islands that I would show you if this screen would switch. There it goes. One of our cultural sites here where students are digging in the midden amongst a clam garden that had actually been built on Russell Island, I believe it is, by ancient settlers of the land.
Just to clarify, we weren't digging in the midden. We're playing with the sand. Very different.
Yes. And could just be the Wi-Fi connection here that's slowing the slide switch. And here I have a photo of a student from one of the Salish Sea trips on my trip. And the 3 days on the Salish Sea are so authentic because it gives a group of initial strangers to grow close like family, learning off of each other's talents that they had prior to the program. And with that knowledge, the students are also treated like crew members as they sail through this splendid course. And on this slide, we just have a picture of some fungi from a nature walk that Mo and Nate take us on the islands. We have self-guided learning on the boat where students can bring together knowledge that they have from other classes. And one experience I can remember I had is where Nick had taught us to measure the velocity of our boat after dropping a stick in the water and timing the amount of time it took for it to go the length of the boat. And then that was a tie together from a physics class where you do velocity equals distance over time. And I thought that was really cool to learn that sailors were using this type of knowledge hundreds and hundreds of years before we had speedometers and calculators and all this great technology today that we use. Just trying to switch the slide here, and it could just be Wi-Fi. On the Achiever, we also conducted citizen science. So this is where we measured the salinity and oxygenation levels of the water. But one thing Maureen had told me that stuck was the way that they measured an oil spill by releasing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these wooden cards into the water, and then having just your average sailor report how many they saw in, say, a kilometer distance or an estimated area. We had sail training on the boat. Here is me, Nate, and Nick, all at the front of the boat. And I can remember a few words of the sailing jargon that they had taught me, such as the tack on the sail, which is just the bottom tip part of the triangle. Here we just have some more pictures of the students acting like crew members on the boat. And navigation. So this is where that physics tied into the boat-based learning component, where you could also figure out the time it took you to, say, travel a kilometer at 30 knots. And students are definitely a part of the crew. They would help out with things such as first aid if need be, cleaning on the boat, and also helped with meal prep, which was my favorite part because then I could guarantee that what I was going to eat, I would like. The most important thing of these 3 days, though, is to have fun. And like Nate says, at the end of the day, we just kind of let nature do the talking, and our trip gets guided from there. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me today. I'm now going to pass it off to our hosts, Maureen and Nate.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryder.
Thank you so much, guys.
So just to close off that program, we do something called a student celebration event where we want to bring all the students back together and have a time that we can just celebrate the learning, but also offer an opportunity for these youth to share their learning with the community and practice their leadership skills. So this is an image of one of our students sharing a presentation on killer whales and all the interesting facts that she learned from the trips and from the program. And one of the other things we introduced into this session was the art of networking, which is such a valuable lifelong skill that people can take anywhere in any type of situation, and that is invaluable for life. And so we wanted to introduce these youth to this art of networking. And so we invited lots of different people working in conservation, science, and work in different means and different methods of being outdoors. And so we want to also introduce the different professions that exist out there that many may not even have thought of existed. So this is a picture of some of our students asking one of our invited guests about their work and about how they got there and learning more about these professions. All right, so that was our Salish Sea program. And from that, we launched this new initiative, which I'm gonna pass off to Nate to share a little bit more about.
All right, and so one of the things that can be really difficult about being an educator who doesn't work with the same group of students all the time is not getting to see firsthand the impacts of what your teachings are providing. And so we had actually, it's because of Kloey pictured here that we ended up creating this sort of next step in our program. And Kloey's the only student who actually joined the program for 2 years. So
oh, Nate's frozen. Sorry, his Wi-Fi was not the best. So we'll see if Nate comes back. Are you guys getting anything? No? Okay.
We're just hearing you, I think, right now, Mo.
Okay, well, hopefully Nate will be able to come back to life here soon. But until then, I'm just gonna share a little bit more about this Junior Leaders Program. And so we've been so inspired by some of these amazing youth that have been able to join the Salish Sea program that we wanted to keep honing on their skills and developing them and allowing more professional development and personal development. So we decided to launch this paid internship program for them to continue learning and getting more experience throughout the year and working with us more intensively. So to share a little bit more about that program, so all these 3 junior leaders here today have participated in this year-long program. And so Miriam's going to share a little bit more about that experience.
Thanks, Mel. So as Mo's kind of summed up, the Junior Leader Program is one step further from the Emerging Stewards Program, with the intention still being to help develop skills in understanding the environment we live in, our cultural connections, and the impacts we have in our community. As a junior leader, you are not only a student, but a leader and teacher in training. This comes with more responsibilities as crew member and as a steward citizen. Starting off in the beginning of the program, each of us junior leaders were responsible to attend and engage at the first preliminary session at UVic, as Kloey described. As we, at some point, we're going to be running our own session. As well, part of our education deliverables, we would be planning and teaching our own lessons for the Emerging Stewards boat trip, 1 boat-based and 1 land-based lesson. Our other deliverables included crew duties for on and off the boat, as well as our stewardship responsibility of engaging in our community in some way to promote climate action. Now, obviously, because of the pandemic, not all of this got to happen in the way we all expected. Instead of being on the boat, we switched to webinars where we are here now. So in the end, we also got the opportunity to present and connect with you all. So to prepare for this, since the last year, we've been meeting not only with our incredible educators and mentors from Raincoast, Mo and Nate, but with other professionals in all different kinds of roles with science and environmental backgrounds. So these next slides here are from different training sessions that happened all over the island. So here are some moments from our day at Seaquaria to learn about marine biology, the importance of shoreline behavior, and how to teach proper handling techniques with intertidal species. So there's a picture there of us down at the beach. So, and next, with one of our training was at the UVic Conservation Lab, where they taught us how to teach the session that Kloey kind of described earlier, about how to collect bear hair as to test it. For all the research that they do is used to monitor the decline and progress and challenges that the apex predators, like the bears, are facing. So coming into this program, I was really intimidated, actually, and nervous because I felt in no way qualified for this. But that was kind of the whole point of this program. For me, it has pushed me out of my comfort zone, challenged me in ways none of my school classes could. This program goes beyond teaching. There is no textbook. It's not just an answer point like cram for a test by memorization. It's so much more. You're out in the real world learning as a group from others who aren't Google. It's not a type in the question and get the answer. It's learning as you go. And it's just way more impactful and you really take more in from that. So here we have one, this is part of our fair training, and it's interpreting our surroundings. So with all the training we did, there's a question Nate would always ask us, and that was, why are we here? What is the purpose of what we're doing? And these questions will differ from individuals, but really it is asked to provoke thought and provoke conversation. We are all here to learn, to challenge each other, to develop a better understanding of the environment that we live in, and how important it is to understand cultural connections and the impacts that our own footsteps have. In my opinion, I think important to know for the future emerging stewards, considering the junior leader position, it's that as a junior leader, you're not only there just to learn, but you are creating connections, networking with professionals from all different backgrounds, and really it helps you get your foot in the door. So no matter your next steps for a career, this program is really a great place to start. And it could be science, it could be education, or even photography. And that's part of what being an emerging steward and junior leader has done for me. Sparked new interests and created new relationships. Never would I've met these wonderful people if I hadn't taken a chance and devoted my time to this program. It's been an incredible opportunity. Another thing that I want you all to remember, that it's not always the information people will spew at you that you will remember. It is the experience that you had that is the most memorable. Speaking of memorable, just wanted to reiterate how Mo and Nate really have such an impact with this program. They're not just the educators, like they've really helped us, and they're our friends, and it would not have been the same without Mo and Nate just teaching us and helping us along the way. So I think that's all I have to say for the Junior Leader program as to what we kind of do. And I think we're gonna go into the question time now.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you, Miriam. It's just been so rewarding working with you youth and getting to know everybody better, but also being able to see this like personal and professional development. And you don't get that type of learning with like a 1-hour presentation at a visit at a school. And so we've just been blown away by all the junior leaders' passion and dedication and energy and the amount of knowledge they've been able to take with this program. So the goal with these programs is just to help inspire the next generation of leaders. And we've definitely started with these 3 leaders, and so proud of all of you. So thank you all for joining us this year. But I just wanted to say thank you to that. It's been a blast, and we definitely hope to get more like you. So what's next? We definitely want to expand the junior leadership program because it's been so successful with just seeing what it's done with our junior leaders. And these were our first junior leaders ever. And so hopefully we'll be able to offer the opportunity to more people and expand the learning and engage in multiple sessions. And so we want to expand that junior leaders program. We also want to expand and deepen our Indigenous programming. And so we are looking at collaborating with a lot of different local First Nations in the areas that we work in and develop ongoing monitoring and field monitoring program, stewardship program. So those are in the works as well. And because we don't know what's going to happen with our physical engagements coming up, we're still looking at using technology as well. And so we are exploring the idea of using 360 interactive virtual reality videos, which is quite an interesting concept. And so here to share a little bit more, share a little bit more about these 360 videos is our representative from One Island Media, Mike Morash and Neil Ferguson. I'm not sure if both of you are here, but Mike, are you here? Are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, take it away.
All right, I'll take over. So hi guys, my name is Mike. I work for a media company called One Island Media. We've done several projects with Raincoast over the past couple of years, one of which was with the Emerging Stewards program, which was an absolute blast. I've created some of my best personal memories aboard Achiever. So that boat is close to home for me. And I did get to witness some of the positive impacts that the teachings of Mo and Nate have had on these students. And I've also been fortunate enough to teach some of these students, the three that you see above there, on photography and a little bit about video, so that they could capture their own content aboard Achiever and start sharing and sort of letting the next generation of emerging stewards take over from them. So 360 video, I'm going to keep this really short. I've only got a couple of minutes to chat here, so I'm actually going to be reading off of a little document that I created. So if it comes across inauthentic, just stop me at any point. Okay, so what is 360 video? Unlike regular video where the cinematographer or videographer points their camera in one direction to choose the composition and framing, 360 utilizes omnidirectional cameras that are stitched together to create a full panoramic sphere. So rather than sitting back and passively watching a video like most people do when they're on YouTube or they're on Netflix, 360 allows the viewer or the participant to actually interact with the content and sort of frame what they want to see in the video. So they can pan the camera in any direction that they'd like and really be in control of the visuals and the audio that they're hearing. So for me, this is probably the best medium as far as video goes for teaching people in an experiential way, especially remotely. Traditional classroom learning is a one-way style of information transmission where teachers kind of communicate everything using written or oral form, and the student just sits there and listens and takes notes. Whereas 360 video is a little bit more interactive because students are required to actually participate and use their hands in the same way, well, maybe not in the same way that they would on the boat, but in a little bit more of a real way than they would if they were just sitting in class and typing on their laptop. They have to show proof of understanding the materials. And so one of the ways that I'd like to use 360 with Raincoast is something like plant identification. So I think it would be really cool to have all of the participants be able to be transported into a new realm, into say a coastal forest, and identify different mushrooms or identify different plant species or some of the animals that you see around you. Maybe even identifying different sounds. So if there's a few different songbirds that you can hear, we could isolate the audio of different songbirds and get the students to try to discern what songbird they're hearing. Another example of a 360 video that I think would be kind of neat would be a day on Achiever with Skipper Nate. Students would kind of experience a day in the life aboard the Achiever, from waking up in the morning in sleeping quarters to proper use of the heads to operating navigational equipment. All of these things are very nuanced, and I had to learn them while I was on the boat. And I think learning some of these things before getting on the boat would make Nate's life a little bit easier. And also would just be kind of cool because you could get a better idea of what you're getting into before getting on the boat. 360 video has actually picked up a lot of traction over the last few years, but it still hasn't quite hit the mainstream like people were hoping it would. There are a few major players in 360 right now. National Geographic and BBC are putting a lot of time and effort into creating educational content around or utilizing 360 video. So unfortunately, there aren't many national players in Canada who are utilizing it, like universities, nonprofit institutions. It's just not quite taken off like we would like it to. But I think there's still a lot of potential there. So by having Raincoast be one of the first players in this space, they sort of position themselves as an innovator while also like opening up opportunities to further grant funding. So I personally am infatuated with 360 and can't wait to see how we apply it with Raincoast, considering they're so hands-on and experiential in their teaching style. I think 360 is really the only way that can kind of capture that outside of the classroom. Anyway, guys, thanks for letting me chat a little bit. If you have any questions about 360, feel free to give us a shout. But if not, keep your eyes peeled for the 360 videos that are coming soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I mean, there's so many instances where I've been on the boats or in different environments where I would love everyone to come to this space where I'm visualizing or seeing. And so if physical engagement isn't an option, like 360 would be a really great way to be able to bring people into these worlds and have a scroll around and look at all the different plants and what's all around in the nature around us. And so that would be a great option to explore. So we'll definitely look more into seeing if that's a possibility with bringing people into the spaces that we get to explore, fortunately. But yeah, thanks for that, Mike. Awesome. So I just want to say a big thanks to all of our sponsors who helped make the Salish Sea program a possibility. And so without these people, the Salish Sea program would not be possible. And we offer the program free of charge to local Indigenous and youth from underserved communities just to be able to reduce barriers. We want everybody to be able to experience this regardless of backgrounds and financial status. And so this just makes it a little bit more easier. So thank you to all of our sponsors. So we're gonna get into our Q&A session. And so if you have any questions for any of the junior leaders, for One Island Media, 360 videos, for ourselves, I actually just want to launch the first question to our junior leaders and just ask. So Miriam did a great job sharing a little bit more about what the program meant to them. And I'd just like to pass it to Ryder and Kloey. If you could just share a little bit more too about what the program has done for you. So maybe Ryder, if you want to start with that, and I'm just going to check out.
Yeah. Since the program, I think it has, like Miriam said, pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
It encouraged me and motivated me to actually step in front of an audience and give presentations like I'm doing now, except in person.
Okay.
I actually did 5 educational lectures at a university before going to university, which was a giant step outside my comfort zone. And since the program, I've also deepened my knowledge with all of the natural learning that came with it, about the native and invasive plants, and even the surface algae in the ocean. If I could take a moment right now to share one of my most memorable moments off the boat, and that was at 4 in the morning. And I know some of our sponsors may be watching right now, so please don't discipline Maureen and Nate for me bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah, because
when I had went out to take a morning pee in the ocean, noticing the bioluminescent algae in the rain, twinkling little blue lights with each rain droplet. And then also after that, learning that the most predominant algae in the ocean is red algae, even though that the most predominant light hitting the ocean is in the green light spectrum of the visible light, but because it's going through the water, it refracts it to the red wavelength. And so all these,
I don't want things to get messed up.
All these algae actually feed off of that red sunlight. And that was one of my most memorable moments I had to share. Kloey, how about yourself?
And then
Kloey still there?
Sorry, I forgot I was still on mute.
Okay.
One of the most memorable moments for me, I think would either be the doll's porpoises coming and bow riding, or watching the sunset on the boat. Like, it was just so calm, and then you could just see like all the colors come out, and it was almost like you were isolated a little bit. And I got to sit on the deck and watch the stars with my friends, and I was amazed. It kind of sounds funny to say I was amazed how many stars there were, but it was just beautiful. Like, you can't see that kind of stuff in the cities. Well, we don't really live in cities, but on the island, you can't really see that much of a clear sky. So that was really, really great experience for me.
Great. And Miriam, I don't know if you shared like your most memorable moments on the on throughout the program, but if you could share that with us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but my most memorable moment was the beginning of my love for moss, which I really have to give all credit to the trip. I spent, I think 2 hours after our hike on Mount Norman, after we collected a bunch of different mosses, grass, and like mushrooms. I just spent the time just identifying them, and it really like piqued my interest, as in like so much work went into like just such a little thing that it just felt important to, you know, give credit to it. So I think that was one of my most memorable, is just being on the boat and kind of just taking it in and learning from everyone. It was a really great experience.
Thanks. Who knew? Moss. New interests, new passions. Miriam hasn't stopped talking about moss since, so it definitely is a new passion. There's a question for Mike. Do you have and maybe you can refer to where to find one. Do you have a quick example of educational interaction with 360 videos to screen share, please? But I think it's a little bit tricky with screen share, but if you want to refer to where.
Yes, I'm happy to provide some examples. So one that I actually saw that wasn't intended for education, but that I thought had a lot of parallels that we could use for our particular videos with Raincoast is the guys over at a channel on YouTube called Corridor Digital created a video called Where's Waldo? And it's basically just, think of the textbook version of Where's Waldo, where you have to locate Waldo within a frame and identify him before you can move on to the next frame. This is exactly what I would do with Raincoast, but for plant identification. We would go, where's the sword fern, or where's X mushroom? And viewers would have to navigate through the frame and try to find that particular plant. That particular plant would be highlighted to look slightly different from all the other plants around it, to give viewers a little bit of guidance or point them in the right direction, but it wouldn't be super overt. As far as education goes, BBC has a massive, massive library of 360 content that they've put together. Everything from showing people a lunar eclipse to underwater ocean exploration. BBC really does a fantastic job of all of their 360 content. Nat Geo actually did a 360 video aboard one of their boats where they take people on a tour with their photographers. And that's a really cool one, and would be kind of similar to the boat-based video that I would do with Raincoast. So there's a ton of different examples. If you just Google 360 video in education, you'll see like an absolute plethora of videos come up, because it seems to be one of the few spaces that really seems to be starting to adopt it in a really meaningful way.
Yeah, I mean, having technology is a great way to reach people who are all over the world. And so even with this webinar series, we've been able to reach people all over the world with technology. And so adding this 360 video might be a great way to bring people into our environment on the coast here and in the Salish Sea. So if you're not from here and you're not able to access these programs, that's a great alternative. And we definitely want to explore that for everyone, regardless of age as well. And so what we've been fortunate for these webinars, it was originally geared towards helping learning with our high school students focused, but we've been able to engage people of all ages, so young and old, from all over the world. So it's been such a great way to be able to have a broad range of people. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the junior leaders actually from this program, or anything from the Salish Sea program or junior leaders program, what would you think was your biggest challenge, or that you found very difficult?
One of my biggest challenges with this, I'm not very good at public speaking, so these like webinar series was a bit difficult for me to do. And I think if we did do the boat trip, I would have probably had a bit of difficulty leading stuff. But public speaking is definitely something I struggle with.
Yeah, definitely. Public speaking is a big challenge for many people, and so this hopefully you got more opportunity to practice on that, and it just takes practice. I mean, young or old, it's quite a kind of scary thing to think about, but with these webinars, you were able to speak to a wide audience as well. So glad you were able to do that, Chloe. How about Miriam? What was your biggest challenge?
I don't know if I have a specific challenge. I think the whole thing was, there were moments where it was challenging, kind of trying to figure out what we were supposed to be doing, because it was a totally like new kind of experience, like trying to organize and plan lessons. Like I'd never done that before, and it was really interesting. But I think just all the hard work that we did was really, it was worth it. Just like, yeah. So there was little challenges along the way with like organization, that all came through. So yeah.
Awesome.
I'd have to
Made it.
say, Maureen, my biggest challenge through the program had to be the preliminary learning at UVic, and it was exactly that, Miriam, the organization of the kids that we guided through all the stations. So big props to Nate and you, Mo, because you guys do a wonderful job at organizing us kids together, and then even keeping us around for this year that we've been involved.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Like you guys have such great energy. It's more like hanging out. It's not like work at all for us. Well, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure Nate feels the same.
You are. I hated every minute of it.
Yeah, torture.
No, I mean, with you guys, like it's really neat to see, because we can just see ourselves at your age and think about those things that we wish someone said to us at that time, you know, to like enjoy your life and to take this stuff seriously, but to go out and smell the flowers and identify the moss and lay by the river and just enjoy yourself. And that this whole experience of, you know, building your career and getting involved in this type of stuff, it's a passion of love, and you have to have this balance where you spend enough time in these environments that you develop that connection and love, and then you go out and you work hard, and so you guys have really showed that hard work component here, and it's really neat to see. You know, you guys have really, you know, worked your butts off in the last little while and learned so much, and you know, things like public speaking and all kinds of different you know, the things that people and students get out of this program is totally dependent on them. And I think that right there is the best thing about what we do here, is that it is not a one size fits all. We're not following a curriculum. We're not creating a cookie cutter experience for students. We're allowing the individuality of the students and the luck of the draw, really, of what you see in the environment to shape the way that students learn. And so if you're interested in diesel mechanics, you can spend the whole time learning about how the boat works, or you want to look at physics, or you want to do photography, or whatever it is, just allowing young people to follow their passions and yet at the same time build up this important foundation of knowledge and connection and friendship and all of it together. And so I hope that this digital program has sort of shared some of that aspects of that. We're very serious about conservation, but we're also very serious about not being too serious and having fun and enjoying these experiences with these amazing young people. So it's a privilege to get to work with you guys, and really, like, for us, we've kind of landed our dream job here. We get to, you know, help students on that next step. So thank you three, and thank you to Mo and all the sponsors that and all the rest at Raincoast that have enabled us to be able to do this type of work. And we're just getting started.
Yes, for sure. Sorry, My computer is freezing on me, but I just wanted to.
And I can't wait. I can't wait to be able to teach in person and not have to worry about not being good at technology. I can hide it out here.
Yeah, if you followed all of our episodes, there's been at least like one technical glitch in each episode, but it's getting better along the way. So we've had a blast with this series, and thank you all, junior leaders, for all of your learning, your passion. Do you guys have any last, let's say, advice for any young people on their learning journey? Does anybody want to share any last words of wisdom?
I would say don't let your own perceptions of what you know hold you back. If you think you don't, or if you're uncomfortable with not knowing, then go out and learn. I feel sometimes that I hold myself back because I don't feel qualified, but I won't be qualified if I don't go out and teach myself and ask for help. That would be my advice.
Great. Ryder?
If I had any advice for students specifically, it is that what you say isn't as important as what the person feels after what you've said to them, you've said. Because at times a conversation, especially when you're public speaking, can just be like a game of catch, or my grandma says. And some of you students out there may feel different from the other ones, whereas you throw an idea at your friend and it totally goes over their head and they miss it, or sometimes they'll catch it, they might drop it. And at times, if life is like that, sometimes it's best to just keep your ideas to yourself until you find those people who you can share them with. And I found that this 3-day trip onto the Salish Sea was where I found those students. And even it was the educators too. And that was my little piece I could share.
Thanks, Ryder. And Chloe, do you have any last words of wisdom for any students out there?
I think I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on what Miriam said, because I was gonna say a similar thing, but I was afraid to do this junior leader program. I was like, but it's gonna be a lot of work. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. I'm not qualified, and I almost last minute just dropped it. But you should, if you have a dream, chase it. You know, it's kind of a cliche, but it's what it is. But if you only regret the chances you don't take. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's one thing you can count on regretting, is a chance you don't take. You know? You might not like it after, but you tried.
That is true.
It might lead you to a new path. So.
Wow, there was definitely some pretty like Hallmark quality quotes right there. I hope someone was writing those down.
Very, very cheesy, but
this is the cheese episode. We should have just labeled it. This is the cheese. This is where we get to say big thank you to everyone and show our gratitude for being able to live in this amazing place and being able to learn from the people who've been here forever and be able to uplift folks and share and just be a part of a team. And so I think it's probably a good place to end it there. We're at our 1 hour break, but from myself and from the rest of the crew here, I'll let Mo speak for herself, but thank you to everyone for participating here. It's been really amazing. We're averaging, between 40 and 60 students every single week. And that's comparable with the amount of students we're able to take out on the boat. So thanks for everyone getting involved, for the junior leaders working so hard, and for Maureen. Really, this whole program wouldn't exist without Mo. I'm out here working away on the boat and painting and all that, and I just get to show up right at the last minute and participate. So this program, this inspiration of all these young people, it really is because of the hard work of Mo and the rest of the development team at Raincoast. So yeah, big thank you for all that you do for our education programs.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, I could not have done this without everybody's help, and it's definitely a team effort. So like all our partners, all our junior leaders, all the participants. Nate, for sure, you are like a huge part of this program. And so thank you all again. I can't say thank you enough. I should just stop there. But I'm excited for the next step. So hopefully everyone tunes in and stays updated to what we're gonna do next. And maybe it'll be these 360 videos. We'll see. We'll hopefully, yeah, be able to gauge audience members from all over the world. But until next time, I mean, if you did like these episodes, feel free to give us feedback, send me an email. If you want to be a part of these programs, just feel free to contact us. I don't know if you can see on my screen. I couldn't screen share, for example, this last one. I don't know why, but if you can see it, my email is maureen@raincoast.org. You can follow us through all of our social media links listed there. But hopefully stay in contact somehow. And until next time, bye everybody.
Bye.